Well, it's been about a year since we actually saw Dr. Christine Pickup in studio with us. Of course, she is from Mount Harrison Audiology in Rupert, but I say that's been a long time. And then, lo and behold, on Saturday, I walked into Pizza Pie Cafe, and who's ahead of me at the cash register with a family? Hope you enjoyed your lunch.
We sure did.
Yes. You had to come all the way from Rupert, though. I just walked across the street.
Oh, it was our every couple months we come to Twin and do our big shopping. So, and that's the treat. The kids love to go to Pizza Pie Cafe, so that was their reward for behaving well. We had to do all our shopping.
It's a treat when you're 55 too. Let me just put it that way. So,
Yep.
well, thank you for coming in today. It's been a while. The last time you were here, we had a pretty lengthy discussion just about the fact that we have an aging population. Because of that, especially younger generations that are now growing older, but grew up in the rock and roll era, so to speak, where
Mm-hmm.
they may have had the music turned up, maybe it's a wee bit too loud at times. All of these things are starting to catch up with people now that they're getting into their 50s and 60s.
Yes, even 40s and 30s. I've seen folks as young as 35 with noise-induced hearing loss in our clinic.
Are these people, I mean, can you help them out when
Absolutely. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And the sooner we do something, the better the results are. The longer you wait between the beginning of a hearing loss and starting to get good sound back into the brain again, the more damage can happen to the whole hearing system. We actually hear with our brain. And it needs good sound from a very early standpoint. When we're still in the womb, our brain is using sound to know where we are, to know that we're safe. And if you think about it, we don't have earlids. We listen all the time, even when we're sleeping. Our brain monitors the environment. And so when that starts to diminish, it actually can cause a lot of concomitant problems that we're not even aware of until, if you wait long enough, it really becomes a great issue in terms of understanding in complex situations like when there's a lot of background noise, or even being able to determine where a sound is coming from. Those important skills that we really don't even think about, but use on a daily basis are greatly affected.
when people come into your office, they generally, I think, have gone through, I would imagine, some sort of state of denial. And then I know this from my own family experience with my parents and
Hmm.
with other people in the family, where at first they thought everyone was whispering around them. And it took a while. It was almost like an intervention that had to take place where a number of people said, no, you're having an issue.
Hmm. Absolutely. And we all kind of go through different stages. I mean, they average between when a person first notices there's some hearing loss and they do something about it, unfortunately, is about 10 years. That's a long time. And so one of my goals is to try to, overcome the stigma that's been created about hearing aids. Hearing aids are not the big brown banana, that squeal all the time. That's not modern technology. We've come so far. They're integrated with cell phones. They have Bluetooth in them. The newest hearing aid that just came out the beginning of this summer is it's called a dual wireless device. The hearing aids talk to each other through one wireless system, which is amazing. They actually compare the environment together. They work as a system, and they also can use a 2.4 low energy Bluetooth to talk to an iPhone directly. And it's the only device of that kind that's available. I mean, they are very sophisticated. They're amazing. We can do great things for people.
Would most people need a referral from their family provider, their GP, before they come and see you?
If they have Medicare, that is a Medicare rule at this point. An audiologist cannot bill directly if you have Medicare. If you have regular private insurance, absolutely. I'm on all the panels that's available here in the state of Idaho. I can bill just about any insurance, but Medicare does have that rule that you have to have your primary care referral first.
Most people who come through and then when you work with them, do they notice an immediate dramatic difference?
Yes, but it gets better over time. And that's one thing I want to caution people is it's not like glasses. Most of us kind of equate our hearing and our eyes are being pretty similar, but they're actually very different. We see 1 octave of light, we hear 10 octaves of sound. So there's a lot more processing that's going on. And so when we are helping hearing rehabilitate, it takes time. I liken it to physical therapy. If you've had a knee replaced, you better expect to go see your physical therapist, and you got to do the exercises. You've got to make an effort. And for most people that have hearing loss, initially you're going to hear better than when before we fit you with the hearing aids. But if they're fit correctly and you start using them in an appropriate way, they're actually going to get better and better over time. I mean, even 6 months, a year later, we can demonstrate improvement in ability to hear.
We want to mention Dr. Christine Pickup is our guest in studio, and if you've got a question or comment for her, and it may well be directly related to your own hearing or a family member's, you can give us a telephone call at 736-0300. That's 736-0300. Of course, this is Top Story with Bill Colley, and right now we've got 58 at 12 minutes after 9 o'clock. And I think I've mentioned to you before, and I'm not sure that it's hearing loss, but when I'm talking on a telephone,
Mm-hmm.
I often find if you're on a long call, like if I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking with my sister, we're often on the phone for an hour. I flip my hands back and forth because your hand gets tired.
Mm-hmm.
But I find that I think, at least maybe it's just in my mind, that it's easier to hear her out of my left ear than out of my right ear.
It's very possible, especially where you've been in radio for a long time. I see a lot of people that have worn headphones maybe on one side and not the other as much because they've got a monitor. And so one ear may be affected more than the other.
And I have a right eye, a lazy eye, and
Mm-hmm.
I've had someone tell me before that could be a potential relationship because it just could be that how you developed on one side of the head.
Right, the processing. It's interesting. The ears actually cross. So the sound that the right ear is hearing, some of it actually goes over to the left side of the brain and vice versa to the right. And our brain uses timing cues down to milliseconds. Did it hit the right? Did it hit the left? To help us orient, to help us be able to say, I want to pay attention to this. It's that selective hearing. We actually all do it. That's why you can focus and watch TV and not hear your wife talking to you. We all do that, but if the ears are not
They're
getting
just
it
claiming that, by the way, right?
exactly,
Yes.
but if the ears are not getting an equal signal, you can't do that anymore, and that gets really fresh. It makes it really hard to hear in background noise.
Now, when you mentioned people are coming in their 30s, in some cases, some of this is not necessarily related maybe to loud noises, but it's just in certain people, you're going to just have a quick.
Yes.
I remember reading about the movie star Rita Hayworth who slipped into Alzheimer's early in life, but
Hmm.
it may have well been related to hearing issues that she had.
It's possible. We all have, gifts and maybe not such a great gift that we receive from our parents. And so people can be in the same situation. Maybe you all attended the same rock concert, but one person will have a significant deficit because they were at that concert and the other may not. That's the genetic component. But there's also noise damage is cumulative. So it's a sum of everything that you've been exposed to over time. And so a lot of what we consider age-related hearing loss is actually that noise that you've been exposed to over a lifetime that's beat up on all the microstructures of the ear over and over and over. They've tested, people that live in deep dark Africa, and they have no hearing loss because they've never been around a machine. They've never been around noise. We have a very noisy environment that we all live in, and we don't even think about it.
We have a caller with us, and caller, you're on the air with Dr. Christine Pickup on KLIX. Go ahead.
Morning, Bill. First-time caller, but I've listened to the show for a long time. I was a little nervous when you took over from the old Kelly days, and I got to say, I've been pleasantly surprised. It's been a very, very good show, so well done. Now, on to the question. I always kind of thought that hearing loss was just, everybody has a grandfather that you talk to him, and he doesn't answer you because he can't hear you. But what I'm experiencing is if I'm talking just one-on-one with a person and there's no background noise, I can hear them just fine. But if you add any type of background noise, suddenly I can't distinguish between background noise and what the person is saying. So is that a certain type of hearing loss?
It is. That is a classic definition of noise-induced loss. Typically, that hits high frequencies first, and that's where we perceive clarity. So the low frequencies are fine, and your volume's not affected, but the clarity is. And so when you're in background noise, those sounds actually shift forward and mask some of what you're trying to hear. And so absolutely, that is a classic symptom.
Oh, okay. I'm at the point now where I need to have my hearing checked in and then probably have something done about it, I take it.
I would highly advise that, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's been very, very helpful.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling.
Since he brought that up, and of course, for people who'd like to know where they should go, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, our office number is 208-312-0957. We have I actually just redesigned our webpage. It's mountharrisonaudiology.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. So there's lots of ways that you can reach out to us. I have a fabulous office manager, and she will take your call and set you up with everything you need to do. We always send everybody a welcome packet, so you've got all your information and you know what to expect.
Before you even get there.
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting. I'm not aware of many doctors taking time out to do that.
We want people to feel that they are welcome at our office. It's such a privilege to do something that I love to do.
When he was mentioning, that, and then you brought up that the caller, the fact that we're filtering sound, that's the brain itself, right?
Yes.
Working to try to,
Well, it's both. It's both. The way that the inner ear is designed, basically, it filters already. So it's actually arranged by tone. The high tones are the very first near the opening where the little bones and push the sound in, and then at the very end are the lows. And so even that, the way that that's arranged, because the lows have to travel through the whole cochlea, that also helps cover up some of those high frequencies. That if there is some damage, it makes it even harder for you to pick that up clearly.
we got about a minute and a half left. When I get out of the shower, I always take the washcloth and try to clean out my ears. My mother used to claim your ears are so filthy we could grow potatoes in there. So I moved to Idaho because I wanted
Right,
to get
right.
into the business. But I've started using Q-tips more often.
Okay.
Are they actually hazardous?
Yes, they can be. One of the biggest dangers is actually if you're busy cleaning and then, somebody scares you or something, and then you accidentally shove it, way past where it should go. Ideally, washcloths are best. You don't want it. The danger with Q-tips is you usually push more stuff in than you take out. It looks like you're taking stuff out, but you generally, what I see is it impacts more than it pulls out, and then that makes a lot of work for me.
A lot of cleanup.
A lot of cleanup.
Sometimes is it just somebody just has to have their ears cleaned out and the hearing is better?
Yes, I actually had an example of that a couple weeks ago. I had a young man who came in, and everyone was worried he wasn't hearing well, and his ears were completely impacted. And it took a lot of work. We got it all out, but it was one of those fun, almost miraculous. As soon as it was out, he could hear again. It was really kind of a neat thing.
It'd be a bit like going to a faith healer and just getting up and walking again.
Almost, only it was kind of there was work involved.
Well, we want to thank you for coming by today. I
My
know you've got a lot
pleasure.
of business you got to get back to and tend to. Quickly again, what's the contact information?
Our number is 208-312-0957. It's mountharrisonaudiology.com. And we just hope that you'll call. It's our great pleasure to be able to serve our community. We're the only independent hearing health care practice left in our area.
And
And
of
that's
course,
a great thing for you.
and in the medical building there in Rupert.
Yes, we're just north of the hospital in Rupert.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I hope anybody out there listening this morning, I hope that if you have an opportunity, well, if you didn't hear us, this is a cause to give the doctor a call. We've got a short break on the way. It's 20 minutes after 9 o'clock. Right now, we're at 59. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX. Got a short story about property rights to share with you, taking place in Jerome County, and perhaps a bit of a legal fight coming in that area. That's ahead.